You guys can help yourselves to some worksheets, by the way. Well, not worksheets, but like the guides on how to do the pieces. You guys can, take them. They're free to take. It's double-sided as well, so there's stuff on the back. Would do it like whilst we're doing it, not right now. Oh, okay. I'm more nervous with this than I was with the intermediate ones, to be honest. I don't know why. Hello. 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 You guys can help yourselves to some sheets, by the way, at the front. They're just like guides on how to move the pieces. Charlie, I don't think I printed off enough. Yeah, that's okay. Alright, we can start for today then. The boards aren't here, but it's okay. So hello everyone, welcome to the first chess lesson, beginner chess lesson of this year. I'm Naranjan Kumar, I'm a third year psychology student from Birmingham, and I'll be your host for today. Basically, we're going to teach you how to play chess, like how to move the pieces, and at the end we'll have like a small Kahoot. So hopefully you guys have fun, hopefully you guys enjoy, and hopefully after this lesson you'll be like really into chess, hopefully. So I want you guys to introduce yourselves, like not to me, but like as tables pretty much. I want you guys to get to know each other. So I've got some questions on the board, so feel free to speak to everybody on your table and answer the questions. Hello. Hello. How you doing, man? You okay? Hello. How you guys doing? Good. You guys can sit on the tables. You can take the sheets as well. And you can introduce yourselves to your tables. Alright, hopefully you guys have introduced yourselves to everybody. Hopefully you're all looking forward to something this year. Guys, settle down please. Settle down please, thank you. Hopefully you guys have something to look forward to this year. Hopefully you're very passionate about something. And hopefully you guys have a name, I don't know. So, as I've said before, I'm Naranjan Kumar. I'm the Wellbeing and Inclusions Officer for Chess Society this year. We've also got Charlie over here, our president. And we've got Josh, who's not in the room right now. He's gone to get the pieces. He should have been here like 10 minutes ago, but he's not. That's his own fault. He's a treasurer, by the way. And so, we have these sessions every week. Essentially, we're going through step by step each different part of the chess game. We're going to break it down into smaller, digestible chunks. And hello, that's Josh, by the way. He's our treasurer. And essentially, we're breaking down like each different part of the chess game into smaller, manageable chunks, and we're going to teach you how to play chess, pretty much, and how to get better at chess. So, if you want to take a picture of that, you're more than welcome to. But obviously, all of our details are on our Instagram. So, in case if you don't take a picture, it's on our Instagram as well. So, introduction to chess. Oh, I just wanted to say that this is very chill. This is not we're not gonna give you assignments or give you homework or anything. You can just come along whenever you like. It's completely optional as well. So you can come along whenever you want, and we're not gonna give you assignments. So, no preparation required. Everyone is welcome, as it says. And so, what is chess? Right? You guys have all come here for chess. What actually is chess? Chess is a two-player strategy game. It's a board game pretty much. It's not like the ones outside, as if you've seen, they've got Board Game Society outside, but ours is a little bit different. Essentially, you control 16 pieces, well, 8 pieces and 8 pawns, and essentially your goal is to checkmate the opponent's king. And we'll get onto what that means afterwards, but right now, all you need to know is that you've got 8 pieces and 8 pawns, and all the different pieces have different unique moves and different abilities, pretty much. And basically today we're going to teach you how to move those pieces, what they do, pretty much. And yeah, chess has been around for over 1,500 years. It dated back to India, but it used to look a lot different back then. But as of today, it looks like this right now. What is chess? A lot of people have a bunch of misconceptions about what chess looks like, but I saw a photo dump on Instagram, and I want to kind of try and do that on here, but it's whatever you want, pretty much. Whatever you think chess is, it's on here, I guess. You can play it on your phone, you can learn it through a book. You got Magnus Carlsen over here, the greatest player of all time. He's playing it on a computer. Whatever you guys want to play chess is there, pretty much. I thought it'd be cool. It didn't turn out as cool, but it's okay. And so, chess is based on the chessboards, obviously. The chessboard has 64 squares, consisting of an 8x8 grids of light and dark squares. Ideally, we would have had the chessboards out now. Can you do that, please? Thank you. And pretty much, on a chessboard, you're split into files and ranks. So, pretty much, if I highlight it over here, we've got the F file. This is a file. This is, moving up, pretty much. And because, each bit of the chessboard has a letter and a name, pretty much. So this is the first rank, so across, because it's the first one. So something like this would be the 5th rank, and based on like what letter it is, that's the file. So this is the C file, that's what we call the C file. When you're setting up a board, you need to remember that each player's right hand corner must be a light square. So you'll be set up this side, and because there's a light square on the the bottom right of the corner, that's how you would set up the chessboard pretty much. And as I said before, each square has its own coordinate. So let's say this square, the one that I'm highlighting right now, let's go up, so E, and go to the side, which is 5. So this square is called E5. Now I'm going to do like a little bit of an activity. So based on that, oh, I've already got it here. So E5, because it's on the E file, and it's on the 5th rank, so it's called E5. So I'm going to do a little bit of an activity with you guys. I want you to say what this square is. You can put your hands up, you can shout it out to me as well. So what is that square called? B7. Alright, that's good. What about this one? F5. Yeah, nice. I thought I had another one, but it's okay. But yeah, so as I said before, today is all about introducing the pieces, like what they are, how they move, and like all the different abilities they have. So first of all, we've got the queen. It's the most powerful piece, and the reason why it's the most powerful piece is because it can move the most out of all the other pieces. So the queen can move up, down, left and right, and diagonally as well. So no other piece can do that. Oh, I forgot to mention that it can do that in like almost any like range of squares pretty much. So it can move diagonally however many squares it wants to. It can move to the right however many squares it wants to. But it cannot move through other pieces as well. So if there's like a knight blocking the way of like a diagonal or something, it can't move through the knight, if that makes sense. You guys can like set up the boards and like try and play around with the queen as well whilst I'm talking. But yeah, you only have one queen, so try to take care of it, I guess. But I'll get onto like how you can make more queens later on in the session. But yeah, just to say that again, the queen can move up, it can move down, it can move left, right, it can move diagonally how many ever squares it wants, just as long as there's no like pieces or pawns in the way of it. So if there's like a pawn here, for example, so on F2, as you guys remember, it wouldn't be able to move to the square on G1 because it can't see through the pawn, right? Try to remember all of this because there's a Kahoot at the end, so I'll be testing you guys on like how much you remember. So the next piece that's on the board is called the rook, and your rook is the second most valuable piece. That should say like powerful piece. That's a mistake. We'll get onto why that's a mistake a bit later. But your rooks, they belong on the edge of the board, so they're on the A. We'll go into like where they are afterwards, but you have 2 rooks pretty much, and your rooks can move up and down and left and right. It can't move diagonally like the queen does, but it can only move up, down, left, right, which is quite powerful, to be honest, you know? And just like the queen, it can't move through other pieces as well, so like I said before, if there's like a pawn in the way or something, then it can't move through there. If there's like another bishop in the way, it can't move through that. So just to show you again on the board, it can move up and down, it can move left and right. It can't move diagonally like the queen does, but it can move up and down. And if there's a knight in the way, let's say if there's like a knight on F4, for example, you wouldn't be able to see these 2 squares with the rook. Does that make sense? Is everyone happy so far? Yeah? Like I said before, if you want to like set up, oh, you've already done that, perfect. Like if you want to like play around with the pieces whilst I'm talking, then you're more than welcome to. I won't mind. That's what they're all here for anyway. Next up, we got the bishop. So essentially the bishop is slightly less valuable than the rook, but it's still like quite powerful anyway. So essentially the bishop It's kind of like the opposite to the rook, where it can only move diagonally rather than up, down, left, and right like the rook does. So we'll move on to it a bit later, but when you're setting up a chessboard, you need to remember that you have two bishops and that each bishop is its own color. So I should have mentioned this before, but the chessboard has black and white squares, and so each bishop, they're either like placed on a light square or a dark square throughout its entire game. So let's move on a little bit. This bishop can only move to dark squares because it's on a dark square, right? It can't move to any of the light squares. Like, it can't move sideways, it can't move upwards. It can only move diagonally on dark squares. Let's say if it was placed here, for example, on f5. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. But if it was placed here, it would only be able to move on light squares, pretty much. Does that make sense? Yeah? And we've got the knight as well. So the knight is a bit more difficult to like figure out, but essentially, the greatest player of all time, Magnus Carlsen, once said, "The knight moves in an L shape." Technically, it's not really how you'd explain it, but I think for beginners, it's like the perfect way to explain how the knight moves. Basically, it moves in an L shape. It moves 2 squares forward and 1 square to the side, or forwards or backwards. We'll get into like the diagram afterwards. But the knight, essentially, you've got 2 of them. They are between your rook and your bishop when you're setting it up. And yeah, just to summarize again, it moves in an L shape. So let's say, for example, it moves 2 squares forward and 1 to the left. It can move 2 squares forward and 1 to the right as well. It can move 2 squares to the side and 1 up. Because if you look at it, if you like orient it a bit differently, it looks a bit like an L shape, pretty much. As I've said before, like, you're free to like move around the pieces whilst I'm talking. But yeah, it moves in an L shape. That's what you should remember. It's on your diagrams as well, so in case you forget, it's on there as well. And finally, we've got the pawns. The pawns are the least valuable, but in some cases they can be your most valuable. We'll get into so next lesson we'll talk about why they can be the most valuable. Actually no, we're talking about it now. We're talking about it today. Okay. Basically, they can be the least valuable or they can be the most valuable. The reason why I say they're the least valuable right now is because they move the least compared to all the other pieces. So essentially, pawns on their very first move, they can move 2 squares, but then after they move for the first time, they can only move 1 square. So if you're playing as white, they move towards the 8th rank, so they move upwards, up towards the board, to the end of the board, and black's pawns move towards the 1st rank. So if we look at it over here, remember that this is the 1st rank, so white's pawns would move this way, and if you're playing as black, the pawns would be like on this side, and they would move this way, right? Does that make sense? And remember that the pawns can only move 2 squares on the very first move, and after they've moved, they move 1 square. Essentially, at the start of the chess game, all your pawns are located on the 2nd rank if you're playing as white, or if you're playing as black, they're on the 7th rank. So they move towards the 1st rank, pretty much. Pawns capture a bit differently to all the other pieces. So pawns only capture diagonally, rather than capturing however the bishop moves or how the rook moves. So the bishop, if it was capturing something it'd be able to capture diagonally. The rook, it would be able to capture however it moves, pretty much. But the only time a pawn could capture, the only way a pawn can capture diagonally, however a pawn can move diagonally, the only way a pawn can move diagonally is if it's capturing. I took so long to get that sentence out, it's okay. But most of the time it moves forward, pretty much. And the reason why I said that pawns can be the most important is because it's the only piece that if you reach the end of the board with a pawn, it can actually promote to another piece. So you can if it reaches, remember that before that the white pawns move towards the 8th rank. If it actually reaches the 8th rank, you can get to promote it to another piece. So it gets replaced with either a knight, a bishop, or rook or queen. So if you're like struggling to figure out which to promote to, just pick the queen. It's the most powerful piece, and you're like probably guaranteed to win the game if you promote to the queen. And so a lot of beginners, when they play chess, they always say, oh, it's just a pawn, it doesn't really matter, so I'll just get rid of it, you know? But try to remember, like, if you take care of your pawns, they can win you the game. You know, they can reach the end of the board, so that's what I'm saying here. Try to take care of your pawns while playing chess. And there's another move, it has, like, the pawn has another ability called en passant. If you guys were here at our freshers fair, we had one puzzle that, like, tried to test your knowledge of en passant. I think it's a really dumb move, personally. Like, I don't know why it's part of chess, but like it was like sort of a recent addition. It was like sort of in the last 300 years it was made. So essentially, if a pawn moves 2 squares for, I'm actually going to read this out from here because I don't really understand like how to explain it properly. But if a pawn moves 2 squares forward from its starting rank and lands beside an enemy pawn, that enemy pawn may capture it as if it had only moved 1 square. So essentially, it's a lot easier to explain it with a diagram or with a chessboard in front of you. So remember that the black pawns, they move towards the 1st rank, so it can also move 2 squares on its first move. So if the pawn moves 2 squares, as it has here, it's now adjacent to the white pawn. But remember how I said that the pawns can capture diagonally? Normally you'd think, oh, it can't capture diagonally because there's nothing on these squares. But actually it can, because now that you move this pawn 2 squares adjacent to this pawn, you can actually capture it, which is really stupid, I think. Like, I don't understand, like I said before, I don't really understand why, but it's there, you know? And just another thing that, in case black makes that move, and you don't do it on your very first, like, move after black's done that, and then black plays another move, you can't automatically en passant, like, the move after that. So this capture must be done immediately on the same move, or the right to en passant is lost. So just to confirm that, if you move the pawn 2 squares adjacent to another pawn, the other pawn is like able to capture it, as it would like a normal pawn pretty much. It's very stupid, but that's how it is. And the final piece that I want to talk about is our king. The king is the most important piece in the chess game because how you take care of your king wins or loses the game pretty much. Essentially, the goal of chess is to checkmate your opponent's king. So ideally you want to be able to like protect your king, and what you want to do with your pieces is to attack your opponent's king. And your goal is to checkmate the opponent's king. What that means is that you're trying to put as much pressure on the opponent king as possible until it basically, any move that it can make, well, it can't make another move, otherwise it dies pretty much. That's what you want to do. We'll explain in more detail about like what checkmate is in the next lesson, so that's next week. But for now, just know that the king can move only 1 square in any direction. So think of like how the queen moved last time, but it can only move 1 square in each direction. So it can move up, down, left, right, diagonally, but only 1 square in each direction. And another thing is that the king can't move to another square where it can be attacked. So let's say for the queen, for example, you can move the queen onto another square where it can be attacked. Obviously you don't want that, but you can, like, you're able to do that if you want. But the king is literally like, it's illegal to move it to a square where it can be attacked pretty much. So just to demonstrate that, the king can move any square it wants, just 1 square pretty much in any direction. So up, down, left, right, diagonally. But let's say if there's like another king, pretty much, this king itself protects all of these squares. So this king wouldn't be able to move to these 3 squares because it's being defended, or I should say it's being attacked by this king. This is a really important concept in not tomorrow's lesson, to next week's lesson. But just for now, just remember that you can't move your enemy king or your own king, into a square where it can be attacked, pretty much. Another thing about the king is that it can castle. So this is a bit of a strange move as well, but it's not as strange as en passant, I promise you that. Pretty much, I told you before that you want to keep your king as safe as possible. And to do that, you want to, the safest part of the board is obviously the edge of the board. So this edge, this edge, this edge, or this edge. And essentially, if you're gonna move your king towards the edge of the board, that's probably a good idea, right? And so there's an easier way of doing that rather than just manually move the king towards the edge of the board. And that's called castling, pretty much. Essentially, you move, if you haven't moved your rook, and if you haven't moved your king yet, then you're able to sort of swap the positions around of the rook and the king. It's not exactly swapping them around, but it's nearly swapping them around. So the king would have to move 2 squares. So let's say if you're castling this way, right? You would have to move your king 2 squares this way, and then the rook sort of hops over the king and moves over to the right side of the rook. It's like this pretty much. But then if you're castling the other way, so this way, you would be able to move your king 2 squares to the right, and the rook sort of hops over and places on the left. It'll be a lot easier if you practice it on the boards. As I said before, keep trying to practice it on the boards. It's a bit more difficult to me explaining it in words. It's a lot easier to see it in person. I've also put QR codes on the sheets that you've been given as well. So there's a video on there that teaches you how to castle, in case my explanation wasn't great. But yeah, I've just said that. What is it? Okay, never mind. But yeah, that's all for now. We're gonna do a quiz. We're gonna do a Kahoot. So if you guys haven't got Kahoot on your phones, then download it from the App Store, Play Store, whatever you guys are using. It'll come on the board. In 1 second, sorry. There we go. You should be able to do it on the website as well, right? Is that what you're saying before? Oh, perfect then. Okay, that's great. We've got a limit of 40 players because I haven't purchased the premium membership. I don't use it that often, so if there's more than 40, then just get it on someone else's phone, I guess. What are you playing? You're gonna win? Okay. I'm glad no one's put offensive names as well. I really appreciate that. I'm not gonna tell you off if you put an offensive name. I think it's funny, to be honest. But it's advised not to put an offensive name. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with offensive names. Has everybody joined yet? Is there anyone still waiting to join? Or is that everybody? You guys are so shy, come on. There isn't, unfortunately. It's ego, I guess. That's the answer to your question. You can win ego. Has everybody put their names down? Yeah? Alright, we're starting. If you haven't put your name down, that's on you. I just want to say that it gets a little bit difficult as it goes on, but you guys should manage. How do the pawns move? I should have mentioned that the pawns don't move backwards. There's two people that put forwards and backwards, but it doesn't move backwards. It's not able to move backwards. All right, just to recap, the pawns can only move forwards. They can't move backwards. That's just the law of chess, pretty much. I should have explained that. I completely forgot to explain that it can't move backwards. I apologize on that. If you lose, that's on me. We've got Mr. Stockfish in the lead. But yeah, pawns can only move forwards. White pawns move towards the 8th rank, and black pawns move towards the 1st rank. Why is it? Okay, never mind. That should have been a question there, but it's fine. So remember that the pawns can capture diagonally. I think that's why I had that. So we're being questioned. For white and black combined, that's an important bit of it. For white and black combined, because white can capture black pawns and black pawns can capture white pawns at the same time. So yeah, that was a bit more difficult, but pay attention to the question, guys. But yeah, just remember that the pawns can capture diagonally. So white pawns, if a white pawn can capture a black pawn, that also means that a black pawn can also capture a white pawn, because they both capture this the exact same way. So 1, 2, and 3 and 4. So it can capture 4 different ways. How many pawns are able to move? So remember that a pawn cannot move if there's another piece in the way. Yep, it's 4. We got Raha in the lead. If that's how you pronounce it, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. But yeah, remember that a pawn cannot move if there's another pawn or piece in front of it. So this pawn can move, that's 1, and this pawn can move. This one cannot move because there's a pawn in front of it. This one can move. This one can't move because there's a pawn in front of it. And this one can move because there's nothing in front of it. True or false? Think of the wording of the question, by the way. Valuable versus powerful. It is the most valuable piece on the chessboard. I heard somebody talking about the queen. I heard somebody talk about the queen being the most valuable. Technically, it's the most powerful piece, but the king is the most valuable, because if you lose the king, then you're out. You know you've lost the game. Raha is still in the lead. The king is the most valuable piece on the chessboard because losing him will lose you the game. Remember, there's a difference between valuable and powerful. How does the king move? You guys should have the answers on the thing anyway. guys all got that correct. Well done. It moves in one square in any direction. Yeah, I don't need to explain this because you've all got it. You're all chess experts. In this position, how many squares can the white king move to next? Reminder that the king cannot move to a square where it can be attacked. Just remember that. Where it can't be attacked, yes. It is 3. It is 3. We got a huge swing of people on the leaderboards. We got Catherine in 3rd now. We got 23 SS in 4th and Ellie in 5th. So just a reminder that the king can't move to a square where it can be attacked. So this black king, it's essentially protecting these squares over here. Guys, pay attention please. Pay attention please. So we're talking about the white king here. It can't move to this square. It can't move to this square because it would be in the attack of the black king. It can take this pawn because it's not defended by anything. It can't go here because the king's attacking it. And it can go here and here. So that's 3 squares it can go to. All of them are highlighted. How many squares can the white king move to? This one's a bit more difficult, because you're integrating the pawns into this as well. It's 6. It's 6. Oh, I mean, it's 2. Sorry, not 6. It's 2. There's 6 people that did it. Never mind. Well done. That was a huge... So, just a reminder again, that the king can't move to a square where it can be attacked. So, it can't take this pawn because it's protected. It can't go here because it's protected. It can't go here because the pawn attacks it and the king attacks it. Can't go up because the pawn protects it. It can't go here because the pawn protects it. The only 2 squares it can go to is here and here. How does the rook move? How does the rook move? We've got one person that said vertically and diagonally, we've got one person that said diagonally, and one person that said vertically. Just a reminder that rook moves up and down, left and right, so vertically and horizontally. Guys, it's right, it's on your sheets. It's on your sheets, come on. You gotta get this right. Well, well done to the 17 of you that can see the sheet. Who is Raha, by the way? You're doing well. You're doing well. Well done. But yeah, the rook can move up, down, and left and right. Vertically and horizontally. It cannot move diagonally to those 5 or 4 people that said that. How many squares can the rook move to? Just a reminder that the rooks can capture. And it cannot capture its own pieces. How many squares can the rook move to? It's 8. It can move to 8 squares. Just a reminder that rooks can capture, but it cannot capture its own pieces, so it cannot capture this pawn. It cannot move through other pieces. It cannot move through other pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Well done to those people that have done that. How many squares can the rook move to without being captured by black? Without being captured by black. The correct answer is 5. It cannot move. It can only move to 5 squares without being captured by black. So just a reminder that the rook cannot move. The rook cannot move through other squares. And remember that this king attacks all of these squares over here. So it can't move here because it gets captured. It can move here because it's protected by the pawn. Just to remember that, you know. It can't move through the pieces, and it cannot capture this one because it's protected by the pawn. I told you it gets tougher. It gets tougher, so it's okay. You know, it's okay if you don't get it. How does the bishop move? I expect to get full marks on this, guys. Come on. It's on your sheets. Okay, nearly 100%. But yeah, it moves diagonally. It can't move vertically and diagonally. This is the rook. And it can't move just vertically because it just can't. Just a reminder that the bishop moves diagonally. It can capture diagonally as well, but it can't move through enemy pieces or its own pieces. How many squares can the bishop move to? Remember, it can't take its own pieces. It's 6. It can move to 6 squares in that position. It can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It can't capture its own pieces. It can't capture its own king. It can't capture its own pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yet it can't jump over any of the pieces. How many squares can the white bishop move to without being captured by black? The white bishop, right here, without being captured by black. Yeah, I really should have made the timing a bit longer. It's a learning experience. Yeah, definitely. The correct answer is 2. It can only move to 2 squares without being captured by black. Jimbo Jumbo, well done. You're in 3rd place. Just a reminder that the bishop moves in the diagonal. It can go here and here. Because if it moves anywhere else, it gets captured by black. Remember that this bishop can move diagonally as well. So it covers all of these squares. This pawn can capture diagonally, so it covers these 2 squares. The rook covers all of these squares as well, over here. And the king covers all of these squares. It's tough, I know. It's like, you know, I realized that I should have made the timings a little bit longer, but as Josh says, he likes the chaos, you know. There's 2 squares that it can move to, b2 and g7. How does the queen move, guys? Rest in peace. Well done, guys. Full house. Everyone got it. Yeah, I don't need to explain this. You guys have already got it. How many squares can the queen move to? Remember, it cannot capture its own pieces. It cannot move through other pieces. Okay, I increased the time for this, but not the other ones. Thank you. $16. The answer is 16. Let's do a little bit of maths right here. So remember that the queen moves up, down. It can move left and right. It can move diagonally. It's the most powerful piece. So if we do a little bit of maths, this is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 squares. Remember, it cannot move through its own pieces. It cannot eat its own pieces. It cannot jump through other pieces. So 16 squares. And this one's a little bit more difficult. So enjoy the carnage. You've got a minute to figure this out. So I increased the time of this one as well. You're nearly there, guys. Try and look at how all of the pieces can move on here. Try and figure out which can capture which. Remember, you're trying to figure out the white queen, not the black one, the white one. Remember, the bishop moves diagonally, the rook moves up and down, left and right, and the pawns can capture diagonally. We got a spread of people, but the answer is 5 squares. It can move to 5 squares. That was a tough one. I promise you that was a tough one. So let's do a little bit of maths here, guys. We're trying to move this queen, right? It can move up, down, left, right, diagonally. Remember, this queen can also move the exact same as this queen. The bishops move diagonally, and the rooks move up, down, left, and right. So these two rooks actually they cover these squares, so it can't move to any of these squares. This is a chess lesson. Yeah, that's correct. But yeah, these are the only squares it can move to without being captured. So it can't move here because the bishop captures it. Can't move here because the bishop captures it. You know. I can't go through all of it. You know, it will take a bit long, but you know. I promise you, it's like once you get used to it, then it's completely fine, I guess. How does the knight move? Remember what Magnus Carlsen once said, the greatest player of all time. The knight moves in an... We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. Okay, someone who put it's a U shape, you guys? Okay, it's an L shape. Remember, it's an L shape. Just remember this, you know? The knight moves in an L shape. I forgot to mention this before, but the knight is the only piece on the board that can actually like hop over other pieces. So try to remember that as well. It can move over other pieces. Because, you know, it's a horse, it's got legs. It can jump. The knight moves in an L shape. How many squares can this knight move to? Remember, it can jump over other pieces. The knight is able to jump over other pieces. It is 6. The correct answer is 6. It can move to 6 squares. Jimbo Jumbo, you're nearly there. You're in second. One mistake from Raha, and you could win it. You never know. Just remember that the knight can jump over other pieces, so it can't move. Can't move here because the bishop's on there, but it can move to every other square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 squares. The knight can jump over friendly pieces, and it cannot capture them, though. I think this is the final question. There may be one more, I don't remember. I made this during summer. How many squares can the knight move to without being captured by black? The correct answer is 3. It can only move to 3 squares without being captured by black. So, it can go here because it can take the rook. It's not defended by anything. It can't go here because it's defended by the rook. Otherwise, it'll be attacked by black. It can't go here because it's attacked by the pawn. It can go here and here. And it can't go here because it's attacked by the bishop. And it can't go here because it's also attacked by the bishop. It's tough, guys. I promise you it's tough. So 1, 2, 3. 3 squares. And that's it. For third place, we've got Jimbo Jumbo. Congratulations, Jimbo Jumbo. Second place, we've got Armani. Congratulations. And first place, we've got Raha. Well done. Congratulations. Well done, everybody. But yeah, that's the end of today's session. There's nothing else I could teach you for today. If I go back, I just have like a... But yeah, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate the massive turnout today. I wasn't expecting this many people to come, but I really appreciate you guys coming. But yeah, next lesson we're going to play the endgame. So we're going to teach you how to play the endgame. And that is next week, next Monday, the 6th of October, I think. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it.